We're going to begin. I wanted to, on behalf of Alex Bunnan and the Harris County Public Defender's Office and the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, I wanted to welcome you here to the CLE. Today we have some good speakers who've all volunteered and graciously given of their time. And Judge Susan Brown, as well as Judge Paula Goodhart, both have volunteered their time to come and answer questions and to talk to you about it. Today will be emceed. You can't hear? Can you hear now? Oh, I'm sorry. All right. On behalf of Alex Bunnan and on behalf of the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, I wanted to welcome you to the CLE. The CLE will be emceed by Mr. Craig Steele. Before we begin, I wanted to at least tell you to be on the lookout for some CLEs that we have coming up. And later this month, we'll have a CLE, and then we'll also have a CLE in November, and then one in December. One in November on cross-examination, and then we're hopeful that we may hear from a lawyer who's going to give a presentation on mitigation. And so, without further ado, Craig Steele.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here again. I like doing this every year. I won't be here tomorrow, though. And for all of you who are really interested in that 1 hour of ethics, that is tomorrow at noon. So if you have a 1:00 p.m. docket, I always like to tell people that because I get asked, when's the ethics? It's tomorrow at noon, so maybe you can fit that in before you go to your respective dockets, okay? Susan Brown and Paula Goodhart are here to help us figure out what's going on with Harris County. These judges have volunteered, and we actually gave them some extra time because we figured there's going to be a lot of questions after their presentations. So you can ask maybe things that are pertinent for your docket, and hopefully we can all get a better understanding of where we're at, where we're heading, and things that remain unknown. So without further ado.
Good afternoon. The first thing that I want to do before we get very far along today is to thank all of you for your incredible flexibility over the last month. We all recognize, because we're spread out over 4 courthouses and most of you are spread out over 5 or 6, what a difficult time that this has been. And I just have to say, and on behalf of Judge Goodhart, what an incredible way for the bar to step up to the plate. I mean, y'all all need to give yourselves a hand because there hasn't been a lot of whining or complaining, mostly from our judges who are whining and complaining, not y'all. So we just really want to express today, before anything else, how much we appreciate all the hard work and the diligence you've shown to the courts, your clients, just finding a new place to park for many of you. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little update about where we stand. I know that probably the biggest question everybody has is, as much as we all hated the CJC, how long before we can go back? We met with the folks from facilities last week. And basically what they've told us is that they are working on the building. There is a proposal out for a RFQ to hire an architect and a consultant. And once that's done, they will begin work on the building. Basically the damage was that the city sewers backed up into the building, that the basement flooded and that caused the first floor to flood. And that, because I'm not an engineer, there was some circuit board, this is my technical term, that runs the chillers, and that circuit board, when it shorted out, let the chillers think that there wasn't any pressure, so they continued to add pressure, which caused a number of the drinking fountains spread throughout the building to explode. For those of you who had any idea there was even a drinking fountain in the building. So that's where we stand. What we've asked, and it's been a long time since I've done cross-examination, but I had to go into full hard cross mode with FPM last week because they just wouldn't tell us how long is it really going to be. The final answer that we got at this point is that if we did absolutely nothing to the building, we could probably get back in next August.
Meaning replace it, put it back to where it was.
That what?
I mean, put it back to the way it was.
Back to the way it was. Nothing new, nothing changed. If we add anything, like maybe, I don't know, some new elevators, Maybe think about moving the administrative offices up to the higher floors and the courts down to the lower floors. That we'll probably be looking at a good year. So get your Fitbit, because we're all going to be taking a lot of steps as we make that circuit from the courthouse to the jail and back. And Judge Goodhart has some updates about transportation and that issue that we're hopeful for. So hopefully that'll get a little bit better for everybody. Kind of on that same note, we all know that all of you are going between a million buildings and it's 95 degrees out and there's no chance of a break in the weather. Please do not feel like, unless you have a specific judge that you know has a really serious dress code, please do not feel like you need to dress up in a suit and tie every day. Please don't feel like you need to wear high heels every day. You're not allowed to have any spaghetti straps or sleeveless outfits at the jail. But if you're coming to court, please, khakis and a shirt are fine, guys. I know y'all love your suits and ties, but I was at the female jail docket the other day, and that was not a good look for Brian Binkin. So please I know there may be some judges, and those are individuals, and you have to check with the courts, but for the most part, most of us have relaxed our dress code completely. So that's kind of, just put that, you can write that down. As far as where courts are located, I think we have all settled in as to where we're going to be for the next year or so. So if you've got those noted, please, that's where you will continue to go. By sometime the middle of next week, we will have the jail docket schedule out, posted on JustText, just like we did. It'll be through the beginning of March, so that you can plan for when you're going to be in the courts that you regularly practice in, when they will have their male jail dockets. On Monday, we are going to start daily female jail dockets. And the way this has worked is that there will be 6 courts per day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Thursday, 4 that will have a female jail docket. Each judge is allowed to put 10 females. So if you have a female that you need to see the judge, please go by and ask them to put it on the docket. That'll start next Monday. We will post which courts are on which days. All right, the admin office is working on getting that together because we just voted on it. So you'll be able to see which courts are when, so you can make arrangements if you have something that you need to get in front of the judge on a female jail docket. We've been holding those very ad hoc, trying to get things moving throughout the last couple of weeks, but we're going to go to something much more consistent and firm starting on Monday. As far as jury trials, bond jury trials will be held in the civil courthouse. That we are unlimited as to how many of those trials we can have, only on space. So we're going to start those up. The first time that we can have juries is October the 16th. On Monday, it is unlimited as to who can get juries on October 16th. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those jurors are being called only for grand juries because we have to impanel grand juries by the 1st of November. So we will, on Friday, once again, that ability to get a jury opens up. And then once we hit October 23rd, we're just going to go full at it. The criminal district courts will be holding jury trials in the Family Law Center on the 7th floor. We have 2 courtrooms there. What we have done is that we have asked each judge to give us their 3 oldest jail cases. And we're going to start by handling those cases first. So we're basically going by age of case. Judge Bradley on October 17th is going to have a jail impact docket for all of those cases, or for a lot of them. Make sure where folks are, make sure everybody's ready, and kind of start giving out trial dates so you can prepare for that. I know some of you sitting in here already have some trial dates that we've worked out on non-death capitals, and we're going to go ahead and start with a couple of those to give everybody else, because those lawyers were ready, to give everybody else a chance to get subpoenas issued, witnesses talked to, and move forward as we move into the latter part of November. So that's our plan for the jail trials. Bail trials, those are going to start up October 16th, and if each particular judge is working, if they're buddying up with another judge, they're working together to figure out what their bail trial docket looks like and where it'll be held. We do have the ability not just to have it in our home court, but also to have it in some of the other courts in the civil courthouse that are not flexing and sharing. So we'll be able to use some of those as well. We're trying to get back in as quickly as we can so that we can handle the trials. We know that y'all all have clients that are sitting waiting, and that we want to move forward as quickly as we can, certainly with a chance for everybody to get their discovery, get their witnesses subpoena, and get their hands around the cases once again, because I know that we've all kind of set that aside just trying to get the courthouse back up and running. So that's sort of the plan at this point for jury trials in district court. Any questions? I kind of hate to just stand up here and talk. Is there any questions about anything that I've mentioned so far about that? About how things are going to work? Tom?
Judge, do you have any estimates of how many jurors will be told? I think one question is about the supposed start jury trial in Augusta County. Will there be an opportunity?
Let me tell you what I know from the jury committee. Juries are going to be called over to the basement and the first floor of the administration building. They're going to start out that first week just sort of ramping up. I think the plan is to call about 500 or 600 jurors a day in the hopes that we can get enough people to show up. We don't know what the public's going to do. People are flooded out of their houses. How many people are really going to show up? We're hopeful that by the time we really ramp up, we'll be able to get at least 1,000 a day, what we were back before. And the jury committee is working on finding a more permanent place, since we now know how long we'll be out of the building, and we really don't have any idea what's going on with jury assembly, but they're trying to find more of a permanent place. We're bringing in the things you have to think of. We had to bring in porta potties for jury assembly because there's only a couple of bathrooms at the admin building. So, it's just but they're the nice kind, just in case. And we're also going to have security to make sure that some of our friends who live downtown won't be using them in the evenings as opposed to our jurors in the morning. So the things you have to think about, right? So any other questions sort of about what we're doing for trials? Sheree?
Why can't y'all have your female felony inmates in your felony male docket like misdemeanor does?
The sheriff's department, it just does not want to do it that way. They have some really big concerns about bringing the females that are at 1200 over to 701 and mixing them with the males. There's just not any holding space over there, is what we've been told. And you have.
Yeah, I can expand on that. There are two issues involved. One is the proximity of the building. So the reason the misdemeanor courts can get the females over there is because it's literally just right across the street, and because in our area there at 1307, they had separate areas to house them, and they don't have that same accommodation over there at 701. So it's a logistics issue. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Steve.
As to the priority of jury trials, just let me get it clear. You mentioned it goes by jail, docket, and age of case. Did that apply only to felony cases, or was that also the priorities for misdemeanors as well as felonies?
So jail misdemeanors awaiting trial, which there are only 6 currently in jail, will be given priority. So those 6 are going to be set on October 16th. With regard to priority for other cases, that's going to be left up to the individual courts. And the way that misdemeanor is going to do trials is we have 4 dedicated courtrooms for our trials. Because we are sharing courtrooms for our bond dockets, we have a morning docket at 8:30 and an afternoon docket at 12:30. We don't have courtroom space to try cases in the afternoon because of the dockets. And so we have 4 dedicated courtrooms for trials. 4 courts are going to be sharing each of those trial courtrooms. So we're going to be grouped in as trial buddies, basically. So for example, courts 1 through 4, because we share a floor at the CJC, we're going to be sharing a trial court. And so we have come up with a trial plan for our 4 courts, and each of those groups are going to be doing the same. So those plans are going to be submitted tomorrow, and so hopefully we'll get that notice out on Monday so all the lawyers know what to expect. Yeah.
Back here. I can't see that far. Go ahead. Yeah, stand up. Oh, it's Juanita.
I can't see that far either.
Is there a plan in place or a working plan about contested hearings and things like that? So for example, in the day hearings,
In felony or misdemeanor? Or both?
of course, my first is felony, but
No, I was
go
just going
ahead.
to see who was going to go first. Go ahead.
I'm not sure that we have anybody in jail pending a contested hearing. I know about the jury trials, but if anyone is in jail on a misdemeanor on a contested matter, they are going to be given priority, period. Yeah.
And as far as the felony courts go, we are currently scheduling hearings over at the Family Law Center on the 6th and 7th floor. And so we will be pulling inmates. I know we have several hearings already scheduled. Judges are calling to schedule them. So that is an available option for you as early as next week. Actually, we have some scheduled this week. Okay, moving along. All right, any other questions about that? Just a couple of other things that I sort of wanted to let you know about from probation, on the probation and pretrial end. Probation is still doing their bond. Folks who are on bond TRAS is at 49. So that's where your clients need to continue to show up over at 49 San Jacinto. And they have worked out, I know that many of you know, on a in-custody TRAS, we were having them brought to the 14th floor where they were doing their interview and then going from there. Currently, we do not have any space for that to happen, but I talked to Dr. May, and they are sending the clinicians into the jail. They're completely caught up. So the schedule for having a jail TRAS is very quickly as it was before. The clinicians are just having to get into the jail, so that's kind of where they are. As far as the new risk assessment that we started using that we were so happy about in the beginning of August, that is still continuing. The only thing that I have noticed is that because we only have bond cases over at the civil building, we are not getting those risk assessments every day. So if you have a client that is in jail and you want to talk to the judge about a bond, please call pretrial ahead of time and let them know